The LEC was forged by countless great moments that forever changed the European landscape. In match history, we look back at the games that will live on in the memory of every European fan. And of course, highlights from the LEC 2022 season.
It's hard to throw to like a video or something when someone's talking in your ear, isn't it, Gordon?
I mean, definitely. It's something that needs a little bit of a practice. Obviously, the viewers don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know.
It's great
Slowly
to have
but
you.
surely.
It's great to have you on board for this split of the LEC, and hopefully for many more to come. But for now, let us focus in on the games. Misfits versus Fnatic. Misfits on the blue, Fnatic on the red. Are we going to see the usual retinue of bans? Twisted Fate immediately taken away.
Yeah, Niski was just talking about this pick as well. And you know, I love every time we have Niski on the desk, he's the one who keeps talking about Twisted Fate, especially because he was the guy on Fnatic last year who just kept being a menace on that pick in itself. And they're taking away a lot of these global picks from the mid lane, from Humanoid. We just saw Larsen on the Silas, or Ryze rather, as well. And all in all, Ryze and Twisted Fate are just great champions. Ryze gets to push in mid lane early, he gets to move around. Twisted Fate will be pushed in the early game, but quite often at that level 6, I mean, it's almost global for him with that ultimate, always being able to join bot or top. So far, Arcane AD carry Jinx is still up and available. They've removed the Caitlyn. Fnatic, are you looking that way as well? Is the Gwen we're going to be looking at? Jace is up and available as well, something we know that has risen in priority in the top laners as well. There's loads of power picks still being up and available, and speaking of power picks, it will be the Xin Zhao taken away from Schlatzen. But Hecarim, a champion we've seen a lot of priority on from Misfits as well, and a lot of junglers as well. All in all, is available.
Why are you talking about Hecarim, man? Why are you talking about Hecarim? Look,
I mean,
get your crystal ball
yes,
out.
I know.
Get your crystal ball out.
I know.
Crumble it into fine pieces, because it's powder time! Oh yeah! I'm so hyped for Jinx Aphelios once again.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe not Aphelios. Thresh immediately locked in for Hylissang. Such a strong support for him.
Yeah, and usually we would add, right, yeah, there we go. Finally Hecarim pulling through as well. I was going to say, usually we see the second pick being picked up with jungler instead. And we see actually a lot of teams rather on red side be like, oh, we see the Jinx. Let's just take away the Aphelios now. Well, you don't have to do that now. You can do it on 3. You can take multiple power picks. You don't have to rotate on R1 and R2. Now you have the Thresh. That's pairing up nicely with the Aphelios. You have the Hecarim as well, so a strong jungler. And from the side of Misfits, it's looking like they want to play with a safe pick with the Tahm Kench. Now, usually with the laning phase in itself, now that you don't have that gobble pre-6, there actually is a lot of pressure that comes through from a Thresh, and we see what happens when Hilly is allowed to roam around, especially in the early game. So this would be a lane where Hilly already will have a lot of influence in the early game. On the opposite side of Misfits, they rally out with a Victor in the mid lane. So 2 Arcane champions now on the side of Misfits, which we know are quite powerful. And moving into the second ban phase, I think we can expect some mid lane ban or top lane ban. Rather, some of the summer solo laners can be hit a bit.
That is one of the risks you run by not picking Aphelios on 1-2 on the red side, is you then dictate the fact you're going to pick Aphelios on 3, meaning the enemy team can pick a mid laner and ban out your mids on the second rotation of bans. It is a little bit of a risk, but Fnatic will be very happy with the Hecarim Aphelios Thresh combination that they have already picked up. Irelia removed from the pool by Fnatic. And we're just trying to limit something that Hirit can play. I'm a little surprised they didn't go towards the junglers. Hirit has been predominantly a weak side player for Misfits, and so taking away some of the stronger picks for him isn't always the way that you shut down Misfits.
Yeah, but the thing is as well, Jarvan is already taken off the table. Zinzao's already taken off the table. Zlatan's Lee Sin is probably the one that springs to mind. But outside of that, I mean, you're quite happy with having the Hecarim, I think. And on the side of Fnatic, you can just counter pick on 4 for the mid lane. You can get a favorable matchup for the top lane rather, and just R5, the champion for Wunder. So I'd say as a red side draft currently for Fnatic, they're quite happy with the way things are going. So I think maybe ban away the Lee Sin here, and then you're quite happy about it.
I agree with you there, Goldborg. I think the Lee Sin would be a great ban. Instead, the Volibear. Zlatan's most played this season is that Lee. He's won, I believe, 6 of his 7 games on the champ, maybe 5 of his 7. I'm trying to do the mental maths. But he's having a very strong season on it. And when he can help Misfits get ahead in the early game, something they haven't done too often, Misfits very strong when it comes to mid and late game team fights. Fnatic, though, across the board, I think, have looked stronger in the last few weeks. So I very much trust what they are doing so far in this pick ban. LeBlanc, the final ban. You see Misfits get rid of 2 strong mid laners. They say, okay, Humanoid, you're not going to be able to roam around because you don't have Twisted Fate or the Rise. We're not going to give you a lane that can pressure the Victor in the Orianna or the LeBlanc. Where are you going to go next?
Yeah, that's the thing, because you still have champions that can contest Victor in the early game if you want to go for a control mage like the Syndra. I think Orianna is a really smart ban just due to the fact that it pairs up so nicely with the Hecarim. And they actually come out with the Jace here, which I think was speaking to us a little bit in the draft with the Aurelia ban that came out. And other champions are still available. We've seen Hirit be quite fond of just weak-sided on an R recently, and I think it makes a lot of sense because it's actually a champion that can have that side lane presence. We know Hirit quite likes, but also a champion that can accelerate in a team fight setting. So let's see what Misfits decides to round out their draft with now that Hirit had actually been giving counterpick for once, and no, it will actually be the Camille.
Something we saw him on a lot in 2021. Camille, a comfort pick for him. He's played it a couple of times so far this spring, has only won on it as well, 2-0 so far. So, I mean, two games is not the largest sample size, but it's good news for Misfits, of course, as they look to round out this draft. Jungle is where we're going. What are we looking towards? That Lee Sin still rears its ugly head and will be locked in for Misfits immediately, though.
Okay, so that's why we were saving it. That's what they're looking for on Fnatic's side. So they want to be highly hit. They want to have that backline access. Now, I think Tahm Kench functions really well into Akali because she gets to take away one of the targets that Akali is trying to go on. All in all, it's Misfits' composition. I think it's dangerous for them to play towards the bot side in the early game. They can only play from the engage with Tahm Kench, which is not the most reliable one to go for. So that gives you some pressure up towards the top side if you can get it. But all in all, in the early game, a lot of that pressure is going to be in Zlatan and where he can apply his early game pressure on the Lee Sin. On the side of Fnatic, you got that Thresh from Hylissang that can have some influence on the map. I think that Fnatic, they're just going to be looking into pushing the bot lane, have Upset back on 3, and then see how much Hylissang can get done at the map. Facilitate Humanoid on this Akali, because if he takes over the lane, well, it's going to be very difficult to deal with him in a side lane or even around some objectives.
Humanoid, not a player that we would usually look at Akali as a comfort pick. He's played it 19 times across the course of his career. Last time was back in August of last year, I believe, or July of last year, against Schalke. But it is an explosive mid laner, and playing it into VTO is a bit of a statement as well. VTO made his name on this champion alongside Zoe last year, and of course, we saw the comeback against G2 last week, much of it off the back of VTO's Akali. Misfits going for a slower composition, you know, lots of control in the team fights. Fnatic a little bit more explosive. Let's see who comes out on top. And on to Summoner's Rift, we dive into the deep and muddied waters that is Fnatic versus Misfits. And the question is giving Hylissang upset? No, that's not the sentence I was going for. It was so tense until I said...
giving Hylissang upset. Yes, back in the day when they were creating the roster, giving Hylissang upset,
I mean, it's worked out well for them.
Might have prompted the best bot lane we have in the league. You're right, Medic. That's a great question. Great management decision from Fnatic, pairing up those two together. You're right. It's a great narrative to run.
I totally agree with you there, Goldborg, and I'm glad I brought it up at the start of this game. And lots of people calling it the best bot lane in the West. Arguable, I think. CoreJJ and Hans Summer have made a name for themselves, but we haven't seen too much of them together on Team Liquid. Ayla subbing in for CoreJJ over the last week or so, and obviously before CoreJJ got his green card. But the question I really wanted to ask is giving Hylissang Thresh a huge mistake on Misfits' past? Because in the past, it has been. You give him either Rakan or Thresh, and he just totally takes over the game.
Yeah, but also at this time, Medic is giving any champion to him at this point. And there's so many threats on Fnatic as well, right? It's not just Hylissang. It's the side of Humanoid, even Razork to some extent as well at times, although not as often. But there is just a lot of threats on the side of Fnatic, and it makes it hard to ban out against these champions. But we'll see. You have the gobble up from Mercer that can deal with a little bit with it. VTO in the mid lane matchup, as we've already highlighted one time today, is making the full extent of having a range control mage into a melee assassin level 1. Usually, you want to be able to chime them out of lane like this. Humanoid not having a good time. VTO quite happy about the laning phase so far.
Humanoid running the Doran shield as well for that little bit of extra sustain. Misfits look like they got the push in this bottom lane. Kind of expected. Jinx with the rockets. Really strong at getting early advantages in the lane. This final melee minion will give them 2, so they'll be able to force Hylissang and upset away from that wave, and Hylissang upset giving them the respect they deserve. But I do want to come back to that mid lane matchup, because it is a matchup for the ages right now. I think last year you would have looked at it and said, okay, Humanoid, the more experienced, the more veteran of the two, VTO, the rising star. This year, VTO has made a name for himself, and in on and of his own right, he is in discussions for MVP. Humanoid continues to be one of the best performing mids, if not the best performing mid generally in our league, but VTO is definitely challenging him at the top as Neon is hooked in the bottom lane, uses the heal early there. Upset ignited, ticking away, does have the heal, will wait until the ignite goes down, and then still has the ability to use it after those grievous wounds have fallen off.
Summoner spell advantage for the side of Fnatic here, but Upset is fairly low already, albeit that heal won't be nullified by the ignite's grievous wounds, as you talked about yourself just there. Schlattern is pathing down towards its bot side as well, so big minion wave, and he got the time to work around with it. Hilly, he might just go down in this instance.
Hilly has Flay. He's now got Lantern. There's the TP. Lantern back. Mercer flashes away from the play. Hillesan looking for the chase. He's still got the hook. And Misfits, they saw it. They were hungry for it, but they're not going to be able to take it. Neon hooked as well. Locked up. Schlatten diving forward, but Wonder TP'd in just at the right time. It's 2 already for Fnatic. They're looking to make it 3 as they find one in the mid lane. It all collapses for the bunnies. They are culled by Fnatic.
Beautiful hook from Hillesan in that instance, catching out the champion in the fucking ball in the bush as well. While Upset is just soloing Mercer. Wonder with the TP because he had the top lane priority of the matchup. Yes, Wonder is going to be losing out waves on top side. Yes, Harriet is going to be getting a little bit, but Razok knew he could walk into the mid lane because he saw the jungle on the bot side. Wonder now on a reset, as you can see on the minimap, is allowed to just TP in. And you gotta say, a little bit indecisive from the side of Misfits. As soon as the auto attack came through from Misfits, TP is channeled from Wonder, and they just scatter. And there you say it, that hook from Hilly, instead of going for the easy kill on Mercer, decides to take the higher risk one because they know Upset can take care of Mercer. BTO caught off guard, already flashing, and with the Ghost combined with the flash on from Humanoid, they kick up another kill. Razok and Fnatic just dominating the early game here.
Already 1,300 gold ahead, and Fnatic, it's just the presence of mind to react to the push in the bottom lane, to not back off too far, knowing you can have the TP coming in. Wonder did lose a little bit in the top lane. Here was able to get the wave pushed into the tower, but he actually didn't even lose a plate off that top lane turret. Because of that, Fnatic very much in the driver's seat.
Look at this, Upside is out roaming as well with the Graviton because he still has to flash. He can just flash into the mid lane and hit a Graviton, follow up with Hillesan, who's also out roaming. It's not very often we see an entire bot lane roaming. This time we do. Zlatan and Razok.
Yeah, Zlatan has to try and jump away, but Wonder and Razok on the chase here. Hit it low, Zlatan the same. Hit it gets knocked down at the wall dive. Will flash. Zlatan flashes away with the safeguard. Razok smites minion to try and get onto Zlatan, and he will
he's got no mana for the Q.
Have enough mana for the Q. Zlatan survives. Wonder, though, is still looking for it. Fnatic unwilling to let anyone from Misfits get out alive. The shock blast just wide.
It's not clean. 1-for-1 on the side of the top side here. Here it forces out the TP. Upset.
This is big as well,
a lot of minions down towards the bot side.
It's not just the minions, though. You lose maybe 2 plates here. Upset is going to step forward. As you say, he's got the Graviton, but he really can't deal with Neon and Mercer pushing into him. The second plate will just go...
Hold it.
And stay on the map.
But remember, there's no vision right here, so Razok, he's coming down once again. Upset, he has the Graviton.
And Mercer pushing forward, but the play's going to pull him back. Thick skin, not enough to save him, and you could see Mercer and Neon, as greedy as I was with my casting, saying that the plate would go down. They stayed around just a second too long for it, and once again, Fnatic are able to find that pick in the bottom side of the map.
You're right, Medic. That was greed for the plate there, and Fnatic, they capitalized on it, find themselves another pick. Razok reset immediately, and they're still looking for this bot side, so while Upset had to forfeit a wave, throwing it right back to Neon, but not feeling ready for a dive. Mercer has respawn as well. Vito actually making his way up towards the top side. Wonder is full HP up here. I mean, ultimates are ready.
Yeah, here it has the Hexag Ultimatum, which means he can reset the tower aggro. He takes it to start with. There's the Chaos Storm. Hexag Ultimatum not used, but Wonder will fall. VTO can tank 2 shots very healthily, and Misfits are able to find a cross-map play.
Brilliant dive from Misfit here. They utilize the pressure VTO have from the mid lane, move it out to the top side, and we're so used to seeing the rest of the team facilitate VTO this time around. It's him moving up to hear it, and they get the kill on Wonder. No teleport either, so he's going to be losing one more wave as well.
And that's what you want to see from Misfits in this sort of situation where everything has gone disastrously in the bottom lane. You looked for that 3-man play early on. You lost 3 kills because of it. You have to start making plays on the other side of the map, because otherwise, a team like Fnatic in the form they're in would just bleed you dry.
Yeah, this early game, it's nothing but exciting, or boring rather, where we're going to have Rift Tower spawning 10 seconds as well. It looked for a second like Hillesan wanted to make his movement up towards the top side as well. Decides to move down into the bot side as well now that they see Mercer's coming in. So still standard lanes, and I wonder how long that Rift Herald or even Drake will go without contention, because the neutral objective so far has not been prioritized. It's been all about making plays on different lanes.
Fnatic, because of these early plays, have got about 1,000 gold ahead. Wonder still no flash. probably 7 to 10 seconds on that. And here goes Zlatan, and they timed this perfectly. Zlatan knocked back underneath the tower. Wonder we're able to get a 1-for-1. Razork on his way as well. Has the onslaught of shadows. VTO's going to get forced away from the movement he was making up the map. And Razork will start the Rift Herald.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good combo in terms of hitting it, the king, getting the stun immediately, but it actually made so that even when Zlatan focused the Sonic Wave on it, he was still in tower range and unfortunately went down. So Wonder able to trade it 1-for-1. What could they get on the opposite side of the map? Not much. Razork tried to start up the Rift Herald. Now they're going to be taking away some Raptor camps instead, just to be getting a little bit of more gold injection.
But you can see, even though there has been focus from Misfits on the top side, Wonder getting a couple of kills out of it means he's still ahead in gold. He's 300 gold ahead, even though he's been forced off a couple of waves. It looks like here it's still yet to take that first plate. And Fnatic finding advantages across the map. Zlatan able to steal this away with a smite. Razork now stepping into Mercer, but Hylissang's here, level 6 already on him. A humanoid as well. Moving down from the middle lane. It puts Misfits in such a difficult situation. Zlatan has not had a moment to breathe in this game, and every time he's ganked, he's either been counter-ganked or he's died. Fnatic are just working the map so well as a cohesive unit early on.
Fnatic, they're so hyper-aggressive. You even saw that humanoid drop the wave in the mid lane, let it crash into its mid lane turret just to try and join the bot side skirmisher around that jungle there. And now pushing in the mid lane together as a unit, stacking a wave on top side that Wonder is now crashing. They're going to be starting up the Rift Herald.
There's a big thing that you can see here, though. What Fnatic did was they got bot side control of that bot side jungle. They then moved 4 people up towards this top side and forced Hirid off a wave. Because of that, Upset has to cede pressure in the bottom lane. However, when he was backing away, the wave wasn't at his tower. So he had a free time where he wasn't losing CS, where he could actually just cede any pressure on that bottom side of the map.
But let me add that Misfit coin as well, because they did that with their bot lane just now in response as well, because Neon pushed in the bot side wave, moved up with Mercer. Fnatic realizing that Upset was on a reset down towards the bot side, and then have to forfeit the Rift Herald control as well. So not only are both teams hyper-aggressive in terms of how they try to respond in each other when skirmishes are happening, it's also just about the standard rotation that we're seeing.
Yeah, and it's really smart from both teams to be able to react to what the other one's doing, to allow that sort of the relief of pressure. You know, you get rid of a bit of the steam that's building up on one side of the map, and you start putting the pressure down towards the other side.
And it just keeps going. 4 men from Misfits joins the Herald fight. 4 men from Fnatic comes in after a reset. And it looks like Misfits, they're just going to be forfeiting the objective for now. Mercer is making his way down towards the bot side, seeing if they can inject some more plating into Neon. But you gotta admit, the big play or the big investment should go in the favor of Fnatic with a Rift Herald in the inventory.
And one of the key moments here is where Zlatan is when this counter pressure is exuded on the map, right? If he's starting up the Rift Herald and then doesn't immediately go down towards the bottom side to answer with a Drake, Fnatic in the end come out on top of it because Upset is willing to give up a wave to this tower. You can see Fnatic just getting a slight edge in these trades, meaning they keep this 1,000 gold lead and they now get the neutral objective on top of it. The question is, will Zlatan now gain control of the bottom side?
Yeah, and even then, just having a look at laners as well, the CS number, I kind of want to highlight it first. Humanoid staying even in this matchup is actually super impressive. Yeah. But also down towards the bot side of the map, it's actually Neon who's been able to take the CS lead against Upset. Neon has been doing a great job.
Upset doesn't get that play.
He does not. And not so much when you have a Jinx, is it for the laning phase. It's about how much gold can you accumulate before you move into the mid game, where you really start seeing the spikes in the team fighting scenario as well.
Oh man, I love this sort of game where it has been explosive. You know, 9 kills in 12 minutes is relatively fast-paced, but after that initial explosion where we saw all those kills, you just see the teams and you can work out what they're thinking at each moment, and sometimes they even surprise you with just how well they're thinking out the next few steps. Hylissang is going to land a hook here, but he doesn't know Mercer and Zlatan are on their way. Razork's going to join the fray as Mercer dives forward, gobbled up. You can see Razork now with the onslaught of shadows going in. Mercer with the thick skin, kicked back by Zlatan. Razork though able to heal him up. The double ravage from Root as Mercer goes down. Upset on a killing spree now. Neon will fall as well. VTO a little late to the party, and Humanoid's already helped his team take 2. Zlatan has the flash, and Fnatic once again find the upper hand.
Initially, it's looking like Hylissang's getting caught off guard, and unlike what I would have done, he doesn't flash over the wall. He's just smarter. He waits out the play. Brings Upset in with a Lantern, and Razork joins the fray with Ghost. Humanoid joining as well from the mid lane, and just like that, 4 versus 3 situation in favor of Fnatic before VTO is able to join in. Let's have a look at it once again, because he hooks onto Neon, plays them away, gets the Lantern as we talked about, dodges out of the Mercer knock up, and just like that, 3v3 situation is going to turn into a 4v3 once Humanoid joins the 3 as well. BTO, he's kind of stuck just watching because there's no way for him to join the fight right now.
And those scattered fights is where Akali really shines. You know, we've seen it from BTO in the past. We see it here from Humanoid as well. If you can join the fight a little late, when the cooldowns are used, when the CC is used, you just have free reign to open up hell on your opponents. And every time Misfits have tried to make a play, Fnatic have been there answering. Rift Herald now used in this bottom lane. 2,000 gold the lead for Fnatic. And down to about 1.6k, but it's going to extend as this Rift Herald charges in. Hylissang still has the flash, still has the hook, but it just hits onto Mercer, to Neon. Wait, did that just skip through Mercer?
I don't know what happened there, but they made a great use of it.
Hylissang's going to die!
Well, close to being a Dignitas dive. Not what we're going to be getting in this situation, but I mean, you take that. Neon goes down, first turret goes over to the side of Fnatic, and they can just even start up the Ocean Drake now for themselves, picking up that first Drake.
I was just so sure that Mercer was body blocking that hook. Hylissang, a full Angelina Jolie cosplay there from Wanted, just bending the bullet around, managing to hit it onto Neon, and now first Dragon of the game for Fnatic. They continue to extend their advantage. Upset 4-0-1 on this Aphelios, still unkilled by 14 minutes in this game. A record he has held, I believe, for the entirety of the season.
It's honestly quite impressive, especially because usually when we see AD carries not dying, it's mostly just because they're just farming, they're not getting much done. But Upset is the catalyst of Fnatic quite often. So the fact that you have a guy who's barely dying, but getting so much damage done, getting so many kills as well, and just all in all, as an individual, is showing so much mechanical prowess. It's just super impressive, and also why we say he's the best in the EU right now as an AD carry.
He definitely is, and I will say he's on his way to a record as well. So far has only died 8 times in the 17 games he has played this spring. Before, well, if he rounds it out by not dying, he will beat Reckless's record of 13 deaths in spring 2018. Upset continues to find advantages, and Fnatic continue to find advantages, and there's the longest lantern you'll see today. Neon falls once again. Slattern trying to do what he can, but Mercer's already dead, and Slattern will be able to dive away for a second, but the 5-point strike finds its mark, as Fnatic have just shut Misfits entirely out of this game.
Completely, and it's just going to get even more dire because Rift Herald, the second one, is just going to be respawning in a couple minutes as well. That's going to be another neutral objective that you're going to be wanting to contest, but actually it's Misfits right now. You don't want to, right? You don't have the proper capabilities for it. And while Medic was just talking about Upset, well, let's have a look at what actually happened in the fight in between, because Razok catches Neon. Mercer, he's trying to come in with the Abyssal dive to gobble up Neon for safety, but the rest of Fnatic, they're just so fast. They just get the things done. And Mercer, well, he's just stuck in between 4 members. Slatter will get taken down as well with a beautiful 5-punch strike from Humanoid.
Credit as well to Razok. He's been so on the ball with his positioning. He's been involved in 9 of his team's 12 kills, and has always been in the right position at the right time. As we have a brief moment to breathe, and I say brief, let's talk about exactly what this game means in terms of the total standings, because right now, obviously, Rogue slightly ahead of Fnatic because they've had 1 extra game.
You bring out a graphic, you know a kill is going to come through, Medic. That's how it works.
Hexagon made him going down onto 1. The TP coming in from Fnatic, so they look to save their top laner. Humanoid here, Slattern down, here it next up, as he is hit in the face by Wonder. And I think at some point, you know, we talk about the graphics and let the kills happen in the background. You know, Fnatic 14-4. 5,000, 4,500 gold ahead right now.
But you know, production gave me a tool, and I actually think it's quite fitting right now. If you weren't here, I was talking about the telestrators. This is you for majority of these games. You see your graphic instead. You're like, there's a team fight happening right now, but look at this graphic. Well, it's awfully nice, isn't it? So thank you for production.
Speaking of which, let's have a look at the current standings. So, Rogue in first place. Obviously, they played 1 more game. If Fnatic win this, they tie with Rogue at 13-4. And you might wonder, well, how do we break that tie? Well, do I have the graphic for you? Rogue and Fnatic would tie at 13-4. Their head-to-head is 1-1. Rogue obviously going undefeated in the first half of the season. However, the final tiebreak metric we have is who has won more games in the second half. Currently, Fnatic are 2 games ahead of Rogue in wins in the second half of the season, meaning if Fnatic and Rogue are at the same win-loss at the end of the LEC Spring Split, Fnatic would get the upper spot, and in this case, that would be first.
And I was looking at the Rift Herald play instead there, and it seems like Misfits finally able to pick up a neutral objective, although we said we didn't really feel like it could be a neutral objective contest in that one, but Misfits, they're on the tempo, they get it for themselves. But here's the thing about second Rift Herald. you don't have plating to get that instant injection of gold. Luckily, you have inner turrets to fight for now, which does give you 600 gold. But the problem is, if you're not the team with the tempo advantage, if you're not the one who's pushing in the lanes, you rarely ever get to set up a proper Rift Herald, and you barely ever get the proper gold injection.
It becomes very difficult for Misfits to find a way to use that gold. Obviously, they've already taken the tier 1 in the top lane and the bottom lane as well, so really only the mid lane their option. But how do you push out a mid lane if your support is once again being caught? Thick skin available, Flash as well. Neon tries to join the party, but Mercer will flash away. They may turn their attentions over to Neon as the TP comes in for Misfits. They're looking to try and turn this fight around. It will be a 4v3 in a second. Neon almost down. Razork's chasing him out, and he will finally pick up that kill. The Lantern down for him, but the Hexagon Ultimatum stops his ability to retreat. 2 for 1 in favor of Fnatic.
Yeah, still working out in favor of Fnatic. Schlatter and Can W over still has the kick available if they want to look for a fight.
Do you want to fight this? Upset is sitting on a Gale Force, a BF Sword, a Vamp Scepter, and a Quick Cloak. I don't think you do. Misfits agree with me as Humanoid continues to push in a side lane.
I think it's you agreeing with Misfits, to be fair, but on the other side, as you say, Humanoid is attacking the inner turret. Mercer comes down to stop him. Not usually the solo laner we want to see, but once again, it just works out in the favor of Fnatic. And you can already see it. Objective bounties alive. It's about picking up these turrets you can. It's about picking up the Drakes you can get access to as well, because you are 5k behind, nearing the 20-minute mark in the game.
And a lot of that gold and a lot of the kills in this game have come from Fnatic focusing the bottom lane. It's something they did so well in the past. Slatter is going to get the kick back, and a little bit of a graphical bug there, but Upset did find his maker in the mid lane. Rift Herald now an option as well. Misfits could get this objective bounty, get themselves a little bit more gold as Upset falls, making that 9 deaths this season. 4 more, and he's only tied with Reckless for the least deaths ever in an LEC season.
Honestly, the most brilliant setup you can have there. Huge from Slatten finding that pick, and Upset honestly a little bit greedy being that far out without the proper vision set around it. They pick up a kill, which was a shutdown. They get value of the Rift Herald, they get the mid lane turret, and they get the neutral objective in the Drake that also gives you objective bounties. And we said just not too long ago, actually 1 minute ago, Fnatic go up 5k. Well, that's only 2k now. Well, 2 and 500. Well, however you want to say it.
Yeah, 2.5k. We'll go with that one. But it's now 3k. But we're going to ignore your maths. We're casters, not mathematicians, okay? Oh, you're gonna get the well actually face out again?
No, not this time around. But you know, I got it as a threat if I need it.
I will say though, that's 750 extra gold just from the bounties. The mid lane tower gives you 250, an extra dragon gives you 500, I believe. So it's a huge bit of advantage. Actually, might be less than 500 for normal dragons. Vito is caught out. Razork chased him down. Mercer's going to gobble him up and try and spin him out, but he spins him back into the middle of Fnatic, and the Infernum does its work.
Great hook.
Great hook once again. We've said that many times this game. As Fnatic find 3, and once again the gold lead back up to about 5,000.
It looks good. You get one nice play from Misfits, and then Fnatic is like, okay, time to try out. 5 members, let's go. Okay, boys, get the team fight. Get 3 members taking out, and 21 minutes into the game, uncontested Baron. Fnatic should be running away with the game with this one for sure. Let's have a look at it again, because Razork, he is actually quite cheeky. Not spotted out on any vision. They spot out Mercer, immediately channels the teleport. Rest of the members are around, and it's just so well coordinated. It's a choke point where there's just not a numbers advantage from the side of Misfits, and despite a great kick from Schlatter trying to disengage it, Hilly still manages to find the death sentence for Misfits.
This Fnatic death ball is something we've seen so many times over the years.
They've become so good at it, and it's the reason why I always say that they are the best in EU right now, because once we get to see this team in a best of 5 setting, we get to see this all the time, and it's not only just like, all right, let's have an assassin in the mid lane. Sometimes it's a Twisted Fate. Sometimes it's a control mage as well. There's so many different paths that we've seen this team take. Sometimes it's an enchanter with Renata. Sometimes it's Pyke. Sometimes it's Kraken's weak side top. And I know we're saying this a lot, but this team is just so phenomenally good. I may say that, and then Humanoid just getting caught.
I mean, Humanoid went a little bit deep here. Does have the Twilight Strike, but Razork's on the chase as well, and Neon deleted where he stands. Mercer next on the menu. Hexagon Maiden will lock Humanoid under the tower. Onslaught of Shadows coming out as well. Razork brings him back. The play will do the same, as will the hook. Kick back from Schlatter, and he looks for Hylissang. Upset tanking the tower, still surviving. VTO's going to join the fight a little bit late. Fnatic may have overstayed. Humanoid still alive in this, though. And he will get out with the Dark Passage. Fnatic, they dived a little deep, they were a little greedy. But there was no Balrog awaiting them. Misfits unable to find a kill.
Yeah, an upset in that situation was actually just stuck auto-attacking the turret. He didn't actually hit the champions. I think that's why they got to live for so long as well, and why the fight became a little bit dicey. But nonetheless, Wonder was able to pick up the inner turret in the bot lane, and it's still more gold being injected into Fnatic. They still have the Baron buff active. They can go for the reset, make their way out on the map once again, and as you can already see, almost 4K has been disputed to Fnatic.
It's a very strong performance from Fnatic against a team that they may very well face in the first round of playoffs. Both these teams, of course, already in the top 4. Fnatic still battling for that first place with Rogue. If they finish on equal win-loss, Fnatic will take first and then get their pick of probably Misfits and G2 of the 2 remaining top 4 teams. And the question is, who do you pick? Do you pick G2 for the storylines? Do you do it for the Kings, for the legacy, for the dynasties? Or do you say, well, we literally just thrashed Misfits in week 8. We can do that again 3 times in a row, and it's a quick and easy day for Fnatic in playoffs. Still, of course, 3 weeks away. We have a short break before we get there, but Fnatic looking very strong. Jack of all trades, it seems, with their composition, master of some. And now Misfits trying to find a way back into this game, but once again, Hylissang.
He's so good.
I mean, he's a great player, but that's not normal. Can we get a computer check?
His PC.
Yeah, someone should check Hylissang's PC.
Maybe he's not hacking, but maybe he's using game deficit.
Yeah, maybe. You never know.
And they're not even playing on 2 lanes. They just know they can siege it down because they have Wunder's poke. They can just go all in with Razork here.
Razork brings VTO back. Mercer will gobble him up and spear him out. Mercer's still alive. Humanoid diving in. Stopwatch used. Inhibitor down. Humanoid will get out with a perfect execution. And the Gale Force from Neon enough to get a shutdown. A bit of gold on the Jinx. Never hurt Misfits. And it may hurt Fnatic a little bit on that push.
Yeah, great stuff once again there from Misfits, actually striking back a little bit, and that's kind of been the story, unfortunately, for them this game. It's like they're never the one committed